I'm going to try the beginning of this session to to show you a little bit of the color mixing, and this one's a tough one. I may, as I get, we're going to do a big painting, one big painting at least, and I may, when I do the larger paintings, I take this and drop it down, and that would bring my palette up, level, so I could probably tape better. If I had this, of course, like right under here, you could see me mixing better. I could put the camera like, maybe right here at an angle like that, and you could actually see me mixing. I'll try to do a little bit of this, and then we'll go back to stationary. I don't want to make you sick. But I'm at a point where I am going to try to lighten. I'm going to try to make a decent, accurate attempt to get the right value, and not have to paint around their legs all the time, back and forth. Now, there's going to be a little bit of that, and that's just how I paint. I've got them located well enough, but you see I haven't even been between these legs. I don't have this drawn accurate. I put Andrew in here. Of course, he's not either, and that's okay. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to just paint straight across this and try to get that brightness, and then I'll come back after it dries and we'll put them in, and we'll work back and forth and back and forth. It's going to just the way it goes. One other thing that I wanted to bring up, I know this area is wrong, and it's in actuality, we're going to put dark here. But if you look at the background, I really do like how this is, how this looks. And we'll put some highlights and things in here, but I'm trying to think how much to push that back. And I won't be able to tell that until I get them in. Sorry for the dogs. But one thing I did, I've never done this before, but hey, we got technology, why not use it, is I took this into Photoshop and or GIMP actually, just of course crudely cut around them, and I killed I basically killed the saturation and made it brighter, which is an option to push that back. Right, here's those trees are more on top of them, if you will. That this brings them forward. That would push it back. I don't know. I kind of like this because this does read to me back a little further. We really won't be able to until I get them in here, and I'll really put some detail on them, and then we'll make that adjustment. Easy to do with acrylics. I would basically just mix a very, very faint blue, light blue, not much paint in the brush. Now you can make it very watery and put a wash over it. I do something kind of in the middle, and I scumble it, and it may look okay to do that here lightly and have this kind of come more forward, so we could bring up saturation here and kill it here. I don't know. We're gonna see. So what I'm gonna do right now, I will try to move my phone slowly so as not to make you vomit. So I'm gonna zoom in on this a little bit, just so I see. So let me step back. This is what I'm seeing, right? So you see where the goose neck holder is. That's why I keep bumping it. My layout. Trying to drink some water. I know I'm stopped up. Off camera, I'm mixing color. When I was talking about getting water, this is a palette knife. I just put those colors out and clean the palette. I touch here and then just barely touch the brush in the water, and I wipe it out like this. I always have a napkin here that or a paper towel that I'm wiping that with. So I'll try to do this. We'll see how this goes, and I'm not going to do this much. It will show you a little bit of the color mixing though. So I'm trying to mix something a little bit lighter. Not much more, but I want this light to go through here. This area of water all behind them, I'm gonna try to get reasonably accurate. And I'm gonna just paint across their legs, and then we're gonna paint their legs back in, because I just got them kind of sketched in anyway. Notice there's some highlights here. There's a little tickle of lights. I will put those in after, and that'll be palette knife, which is always fun. So I did just dip in the water a little. I am going to get some white, because there's no method to the madness when I paint. Again, this isn't recipe. It's not 1 part this and 3 parts that. There's so many variations in all of the colors you do. You just got to learn to do it by feel. But when I see something really light, and I know there's going to be quite a bit of white in it, I just start with white. And it's a light celery kind of color. Now, does it matter that we nail that? Does it matter that it looks exactly like that? No. I mean, we could probably take this, put it up there, and it would work. And we may do that. I don't know. At least in little areas. I'm gonna put a little bit. Notice I don't have black out here right now. And you notice how I just get a bit of that blue in there. See how it's starting to drag? 2 things: a little more water, more paint. And always when you paint, or when I paint, I'll say, whatever you're painting at the moment, you're like, oh, it doesn't look great. But once the subjects are in, you cannot tell how something is going to look, read. Is it going to fit? Is it going to be okay? Because all I'm seeing right now is this, and they're not in here. All I see right now is this. They're not in here yet. I can imagine what they're going to look like, but when you put those edges and the colors are going to pop, this stuff just sits back and makes sense. So you can see from a distance behind them how that's really where I need to be. And I'm okay that this is skipping. Skipping meaning I'm not covering it perfectly. There are some, I'm looking to the right, looking at the picture, there's some areas that it's a little sharper. We can do those later. I just want to make sure I get through them. And while I've got this color, we are getting this right. Hard to tell. This is shadow, her back legs in shadow. I want this to be bright enough. Hold my breath, hold my breath. Now, right in here, it's pretty bright. It brightens up. It brightens up. So I'm going to take, and I really don't know how this is going to go till right now. I'm making this a little more yellow and white, even though I don't see that. For some reason, that feels like the right thing to do right in there. Just seemed like it, felt like it. Didn't look like it, but it felt like it. There's some of that here, but it's not as bold. Back yonder, I mixed a little more water. I want it to cover a little bit better, at least in spots. Again, I'm okay that this is coming through here. I'm okay that it's coming through there, but there are areas I want it to be covered pretty well. Now we're going to mix a little bit of burnt sienna in that. See how that does. Oh, big fat finger. How long's that been there? Oh my goodness. I ruined your. And we'll munge this together a little bit with a little green, which is what I'm seeing, but I just want to get this warmer. Kojic looks warmer. This is where, oh gosh, I'm supposed to be showing you this, aren't I? Holy mackerel. Getting lost in it all. If I'm going too light, I don't want to keep picking this up and going in this lightest pool. I'll pick some up and go out here, right? It's really tough. This is a tough little spot to get right. Hopefully you see where I'm trying to match that. Trying to match it. And it's important. It's important. And again, I see I've brainwashed myself. I see in temperature. So this is warmer and that's cooler. That's important. Very important. And that's not far off from that color. Right? And that color. Not far. Again, the water a lot of times will just almost paint, reflections at least will almost paint themselves. Trying to look in the back of the camera or the phone, wasn't doing that. All right. More better. I'm going to put you all out of your misery. Maybe. Let me extend this up. Probably. I need to cut that part out. No, I don't want y'all to be puking. The camera and the phone needs to be a little higher to be at the proper angle, but that's it's okay. It's all right. Again, this is not the time to be necessarily putting them in, but I have the color there. Why not use it, right? There's no man, there's less stuff going on back here. That's his leg. It's standing that, so it highlights against that. Darker, definitely darker than I've got it here. Darker than I got it there. Sometimes just for my brain, I need to, like when something's bothering me, I just need to get away from it and work on something else that I know needs to be worked on eventually, and then come back. It's just the way things are. Yeah, I am looking at the picture, and you know, most of this will happen after I paint them in. I just needed to get away from it for just a second. Mix up something that's a little more green, a lot of more green, because there are, as much as I'm trying to stay away from greens, pure greens, there's some here, and you know, most people would think, hey, if you're outdoors, that's the main color. Well, it's green. I can't tell you why I don't really want to paint in vivid greens. And these aren't vivid greens, but they're greener than what I'm painting. But main thing is I want to be selective of where I put them, right? So many people go, well, I look here, and when I say here, I'm pointing at the picture. Glance, oh, it's foliage. I know what foliage is. It's green. And then you don't look at that anymore over there. And it just doesn't make sense. How you do what I'm doing is up to you. Anything works in water. You just want to make sure you get it going this way, not this way for the most part. Any of the brushes will work. The way you hold it will work. Just let the paint come out of the brush. However you want to do it. This is the part that honestly, if you can't have fun doing this, then you don't need to be painting. You don't need to be painting. It's a dirty brush. I didn't even clean it out. It's still got that green in it. Little spots. Now, one thing about a brush, they have a tendency to make the same shape, and I don't like that. Sometimes you'll get carried away and you're not paying attention, and you'll go, and I, this is a personal thing. I say hate, that was strong, when people do this. Let me paint these leaves. You know, and I don't mean to say Bob Ross, I don't mean to bash somebody. Let me take a fan brush and go, dun, 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 dun. Every one of those have the same shape. I don't like that. I do this. That's just me. You got to find your own way and what suits you. Take that green, take a green. Let's see how this does. I don't want to get, I can screw up real quick here. That may be too much. I just wanted to put a little something extra back there. Just a hint. That may not work. You want it to be interesting, but accurate. And I'll do, and it'll keep coming forward and put more values. But sometimes a little color. This is me, this is John talking. This is my interest. A little color here and there is nice, but not where it doesn't make sense. And that, I'm not saying that makes sense. We may be doing that a little bit later, but we can do it. We can do it. So this is a pretty important little thing I'm getting ready to do here, and I'm going to show it to you. Light, and we'll go a little brighter probably, and it comes forward, and right here, most of the way out here, it's dark. Where are you seeing that? This area right here, it's dark. It's the cast shadow. I've got to make sure that gets dark enough so that they stand out, and now's the time to put it in. That's not even supposed to be. And I'm making it pretty green. I probably should make it a little darker, maybe. Yeah. So I'm not able to get it dark enough, and that's because I haven't cleaned my brush. Sorry. And I've got a lighter color in there. So I start over, pick up our blue and burnt sienna, make it dark, and then add a touch of yellow. Now we're getting it darker. And I was struggling because I had a small little pile of paint that I was putting out there, and it was not, wasn't working. I couldn't get the value right. So you just start over, clean your brush, start a new pile. And we're not going to finish this part is not going to be absolutely accurate. It's a little harder edged because it is a cast shadow. And we'll go darker and darker and darker, probably after I get them painted in, which is not as hard to do, but getting the body of this done, pretty important. Mix more paint, blue, brown, touch of yellow, dark, get it darker. It's not everywhere that dark, but it is right there. The closer to the source of what's cast in the shadow, it's darker. Oh, that was the elbow. That was the elbow. So this has actually this is going to be some little bushes and stuff. So as it gets out, dark, sharper edge, the shadow, as it gets out here, it gets fainter and fainter. Fainter? Is that a word, fainter? So what I want to do is I've got this color mixed, but if I put it down right now, it's going to be sharp edge, and I don't want that out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it out here, put it here, put it there, put it there, put some here until there's not the amount of paint in my brush. Now I can put that in. I'm picking up some, and it actually goes all the way out here to Matthew. But I don't want to put it down as much as it is back there. See how that works. Got to get back. I'll step back because I'm so close to my work to make sure it reads right. Now there's lots of little touches of darks in here as I paint. Again, I don't ever finish any one area and then move on. There are artists that do that. That's pretty impressive. That ain't me. I can't do that. So what I do is just I look and I fix and I look and I fix. And I adhere. I don't think I've ever read. I don't think I've ever read anybody say this, because you'd probably get laughed out of instructional art if you said, go ahead and paint wrong and then fix it. But that's kind of what I do. I allow myself to just put a best guess down and don't sweat it. Again, other mediums that's difficult to do, like watercolor. You know, you put it down the wrong watercolor, you're so reliant on the luminosity coming through the white paper, because there is no white paint, right, in watercolor. If you add white paint, then you've got, you know, pretty much you got gouache. But if you're a watercolorist, you are having to know what you're doing when you lay down the paint, and a lot of the same with oil. Not that you can't fix, I think, more prime. Again, I've never painted in them, but I've studied them. But acrylic is a very, very forgiving medium. Stepping back, we will end up, and I'm just going to show you this, just a little footnote, as much for myself as anything. We will end up doing some of this. Now, this is not my painting knife, this is my palette knife, but we're going to end up doing some of this stuff with these rocks. Right. So we're going to be piling on some stuff, and that's going to make those rocks pop. And the nice thing about the palette knife, it lays it down and make nice sharp edges, but it lays the paint down. It doesn't smoosh it in, right? It keeps it nice and thick. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. As we continue this, we're going to do the same thing like this. We're going to put down little touches, bring out little highlights. Not the best brush for this, because it so duplicates shapes, and I don't like that. But it's the brush that's in my hand, so. All right, let's the water's all right. It's okay. I think once I get them in there, and I'll play back and forth, and when I say the water, I'm talking about behind them. This will keep coming forward. But I don't think I can make much more guesstimations accurately until I get them in there. So let's get them in there. What brush? We'll do the, let me think, what brush? Let's just do this one. This was that American Painter number 4 that I don't use hardly ever, but this is, I gotta go get some number 4s in the paint that I like. What the heck, John? Ooh, I better before I do this, put a little dark paint behind painting. Put some dark paint to help shape her a little bit better. We'll touch a little yellow just to make sure it's kind of greeny, kind Let's see here. A little more yellow. God, I got a lot of more yellow when I did that. Okay, we're up here. It's a different color. I like that. I like that. Put a little bit over here and there. Oh yeah. It happens. It happens. So this comes here. There. That is at an angle like it. Put that on dark. That's not a. Let's lay that down there. I don't know what's going on. All right. Good enough. Let's try. And you see how, you kind of lose the drawing and you gotta refine the drawing. So let's try to let's see if we can paint her somewhat, get her shapes. So we've got there. And I'm gonna struggle with this a little bit. So that's a little, so her head comes actually a little bit more there. A little large. I want to lose some of that. Oh, elbow. That, anybody that goes to the gym with me, it is actually Saturday morning and I'm not at the gym, and it's because of got you little elbow problems, so you got to be smart. I used to not be